Hello artists! In this video, we're going to learn how to make a winter landscape. I'm using paper, pencils, and color pencils, but you can use whatever supplies you would like. Markers, watercolor, paint, crayons, anything will work, but I definitely recommend starting with a pencil. So gather your supplies and meet me back here. To get started, we're going to use two rainbow lines to make two different sized hills of snow. And to do this, I'm not going to start at the very bottom of my paper. I'm going to come up just a little bit on the side. And here I'm going to make my first rainbow line. And I'm going to go up a little further and make my second rainbow line. Here are our two hills for our winter landscape. The next thing, we're going to be adding trees. And in this landscape, we're going to focus on creating space. And to do that, we need to make sure that the trees that are, say, closest to us, closest to this side of the paper, are bigger than the trees that we add in the back. And there are two different trees that we can do. The first would be triangle trees. And since we're wanting to make these trees look like they are closest to us, they're going to be pretty big. So the first one, I'm just going to make a really tall, skinny triangle. And that's pretty big. That's almost to the top and bottom of my paper. You can also add a second triangle tree, and it's okay if it meets that first one. You don't have to finish it. This is called overlapping, and it makes our picture look a little bit more realistic because trees do overlap each other. We can add little rectangles or squares for the trunks of the tree. You can also make your trees using a vertical line. So that's a vertical line that goes up and down, and have diagonal lines starting short and getting longer as you go down the line. And you would repeat this on the other side. A different kind of fir tree. So here we have our two different types of trees that you can add in your picture. You can also use your own. Just remember that the trees that we are adding to the front of our picture, the foreground, are going to be bigger than the trees that we are going to add in our background. And I just went in and erased those lines from our hills so that way they're not running through my trees. Our next step is to add our trees on the back hill, and these trees are going to be much, much smaller to help show distance in our picture. And to do that, I'm just going to start with a triangle tree, and I'm going to make it really small, just a really small triangle. And I might add a different size triangle right next to it, but I want to make sure that they're much smaller than the triangles that I drew in the front. I could even add one of these line trees that we added right here. You could add some of those in the back as well. You can do a little bit of both. If you like, you can add a little house back here. So just start with a square, add a triangle roof, and maybe this one has a curved door. And you can add some windows on either side. If you add a rectangle to the roof, you could have a chimney for a fire and add some curvy lines coming up for some smoke. You could even add yourself a little snowman back here, or people sledding down a hill. So many things that you could do. There's one more detail, or two more details actually. I'm going to add a circle up here to the left for a moon. And I like to go through and add some kind of crazy little lines around that for the moon glow. But you can make your picture daytime, definitely your choice. If you'd like, you can also add some details like footprints walking in the snow. Using an oval shape, you can draw 2 ovals next to each other. That's probably the easiest way to start. And since they are closest to us, let's pretend our pencil is our person, they're gonna be big. But as we keep drawing our footprints, they're gonna get smaller and smaller. So I'm gonna go up just a little bit and continue making bigger ovals. And they're gonna be big for just a little bit. But as we get closer to the edge of that first hill, they're gonna get smaller and smaller. You can even have them go off to the side a little bit until they're just these like little tiny dots that we can't see anymore. And there we have it. If you would like to give yourself a little bit of a challenge, you can go through and add shadow. So these spaces here, like this triangle here and this kind of triangle going off the page and underneath here, those are called shadow. You don't have to add these, but I will show you how you can add them. So to have shadow, you need a light source, and that can either be from a lamp in your house. So here I've got overhead lighting on the ceiling and it's creating shadow. So since it's directly above, it's creating shadow right underneath my hand. But here I have added a moon. Maybe you added a sun. Both moon and sun create shadow. So here at the top, I'm going to incorporate all of this grouping of trees and my house. And I'm going to add a triangle that's kind of diagonal. And I'm going to include the house in here. And that's going to be my shadow coming away from the moon and onto the snow. And I'm going to do the same down here. Now I know we don't have a ton of space down here, but you can still add yourself a little line, almost like you were going to draw a triangle underneath these trees to create shadow. Again, this is not something you have to do. It's just something if you would like to give yourself a little bit of a challenge that you can do. And from here, it's the fun part, adding color. And like I said, you can use watercolor. You could even layer things. So maybe you paint with watercolor first, let it dry, and add details with color pencil. Or maybe all you do is add color pencil or marker. Possibilities are endless. I'm going to speed up the rest of this video just to show you how I color. And there you have it, a winter landscape. Have fun!